Hey, it's Jeff Price, your professor, and I want to talk to you for, well, a couple minutes here about what 9/11 was really like. Um, Take you into a little bit of my world. Some of you can tell I'm just a little bit into golfing. Literally have my own setup out here as much as I can. One of the things that I really wanted to visit with you about on 9/11, let me get the tripod finished put in place here, is, let me also look at the right part of the camera, is what that was really like. And in terms of, by that, I don't mean my personal story. I mean, I could tell you that. But what I wanted to express is we're 20 years into this process, and there's a lot of why didn't you do this? Why didn't you know that? Why couldn't you have done the other thing? A lot of that in terms of that particular day. I'm not necessarily talking about what happened beforehand or even immediately afterwards. That's all part of history, and that's all part of the textbook and so forth. But we do get a lot of questions about, well, why didn't you do this during the hijackings? Or why didn't you do that? Or why weren't these people notified? Or why didn't we tell these people what was going on? And frankly, the answer to the question is we didn't know. On that particular day, most of the airport security coordinators in the country, oddly enough, were at a conference in Alaska, I believe. I was an airport director at the time. I was no longer in the security side at Denver. I was up at Rocky Mountain Metro, and I was at a conference in Hawaii on 9/11. And I remember Jen, my wife, calling me and saying, turn on the TV, and I saw United 175 hit. What I didn't know, and I still don't know, is whether they were showing it again or I actually saw the original hit. I think it was a repeat of that showing. And my wife at the time worked in the City Center Marriott in downtown Denver, and I think about the 18th floor. And I just remember telling her, I'm like, get out of that building and just go home. Just get out of downtown. Because we did not know what was going on. We didn't know how many planes had been hijacked. We didn't know who was doing it. We did not know why they were doing it. We didn't know if there were other attacks that could occur. Some airports experienced bomb threats. Some of them weren't bomb threats. They just thought they were, because that day was just a massive confusion. There was just so much we didn't know. Later, we'd find out a lot of things. But in retrospect, you can't make decisions about things that you did not know about at the time. And that was such a shock, that particular attack. It was unlike anything anybody had ever seen. We'd experienced airline bombings, we'd experienced airline hijackings, but that particular day, I remember I still went to the conference that morning that I was attending, and it was a leadership seminar. Everybody was just quiet, and we were looking for any news possible. This was, we of course had the internet by then, and we all had cell phones. Not to the level of sophistication we have them now, but we were doing anything we could for news, because all the landlines were jammed, the cell towers were jammed. News was not traveling fast. The internet was locked up. A lot of people couldn't get online to get information about what was going on. We didn't have Twitter, so we didn't really have an effective means to tell everybody what was happening. So realize when you're seeing anything about 9/11 or we're talking about that day, we didn't know what was going on. We couldn't make decisions on things that we did not know. There were rumors of other aircraft. There were rumors of other hijackings. There were rumors the White House or the Capitol had been hit. We just didn't know. And everybody was trying to play catch up all across the country. So when you talk to people who remember that day and remember it vividly, they do get very, well, kind of sullen, frankly. I've had the privilege of training hundreds of Port Authority, New York and New Jersey employees and people who were in the Pentagon since that time, and just in my other life as an industry trainer. And it's an honor and a privilege to train those folks. The Port Authority people, a lot of them were in World Trade Center 1 when it got hit. They saw the plane. Some of them saw it actually hit. Some of them saw the debris. They saw pieces of landing gear and other things, both in the tower and on the ground. And they lost people in that as well, because the Port Authority offices occupied several floors of World Trade 1. And it's very sobering. When I train for them now, I train in World Trade 4 on the 18th floor, which overlooks the reflecting ponds from the Twin Towers. And it's weird training aviation security at the place where it all happened, literally at ground zero. So something to remember as we move forward about critique as to why we did or didn't do certain things during 9/11 is we just didn't know.